don't do what I did. Don't run around saying, hey, I went plant-based vegan, I'm healed, and you got to do it too. Just shut up and be healthy. If you went carnivore and it healed you, just shut up and be healthy. Let your results speak for you. When people are ready, they'll come to you. And then when they ask, then tell them. Don't volunteer the information. It's just better because, especially because of the polar, we don't want to divide each other. We want to come together. We just want everybody to be healthy.
Hey, Inspired Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers. It's John Nolan here. Thank you so much for tuning in to another inspired conversation. We're bringing back our dear friend, Tim James, founder of Chemical Free Body, for the health tip, or let's just say the health conversation of the week. And today we're going to have a very contested subject that a lot of people are fighting over. So, Tim, first off, welcome back. So good to see you, brother.
I am so happy to be back, and I can't wait to talk about this.
We
It's so
just there, when we're on the phone, we sort of discuss many things from spiritual, metaphysical to health stuff. But Tim, one of the things that we've conversed about on and off is veganism versus carnivore, and those are two like very distinct big health trends. And both have its pros and probably cons, right? I mean, that's how it usually goes. But it's been sort of a big discussion over the last years. A lot of people have tried both. A lot of people swear carnivore is really doing great for them. A lot of people say this is doing great for them. Christine and I have done both. We've experienced both for extended periods of time. What's your take on this entire subject?
Oh, all right, here we go. This is gonna be fun. All right, so here's the deal. Whether you're a carnivore right now, or you're a hardcore vegan, or you're any mix, you could be pescatarian, Mediterranean diet, levetarian. It doesn't really matter what you are. You got to do you. All right, and overall, all this stuff. Anytime you see black versus white, mask versus anti-mask, jab versus anti-jab, that kind of stuff, that is division. And so why are we dividing ourselves over food? It is silly. We need to come together as a human race. Period. End of story. So that's my goal today, is to bring us together as a human race through carnivore versus vegan and everywhere in between. Okay? Because
I
I
love
love
that.
and I
That
love all of you.
perfect intro. I second that. Go ahead.
All right, so here we go. Now, the reality is that like in my deal, like I grew up over here in Eastern Oregon hunting and fishing. We used to say if it flies, it dies. It's brown, it's down. I mean, I was shooting all kinds of stuff, freezers full of deer meat, elk meat, chucker meat, pheasant meat, quail meat, duck meat. I mean, all of it, right? Goose. That's just what we did. Okay, but we had a fresh garden, and when I grew up, I really didn't have any health issues. I was fine. It wasn't until my late 20s, and then by the time my 30s, my just digestive tract was destroyed, and a lot of this was processed foods and blah blah blah. So why is it that somebody like me that was eating pretty much all meat, um, when I went to the Hippocrates Wellness Center, and they put me on completely living foods. We're talking sprouted nuts, sprouted seeds, sprouted grains, sprouted beans. There was like no meat. And I remember telling Charles when I went, I'm like, I was scared. I'm like, there's no meat here. Are you out of your mind? I'm going to die. Like that's where my belief system was. Not only did I not die, but I began healing. And I actually became a living fooder, which is like not just raw food. Like my stuff was 80-90% of my food was alive. I started growing everything. And so that's a whole nother conversation, but it worked for me. I completely healed myself up, all this stuff. Now, somebody else could have health issues like I did, and they go the opposite end. They go carnivore and they heal all the way up. So what gives, right? Well, first off, everybody's individual. Now, there are some basic things that are always going to be the same for everybody, but everybody's individual. And we have different stages in our life. Does a baby need the same food as a 14-year-old versus somebody who's 45 versus somebody who's 90? Well, yeah, there's some basic elements in there that we need, carbon-based food and this kind of stuff. But things change. And, as I've noticed as people get older in my practice as a health coach, and that's what gives me an insight. I've personally worked with 700 people through this process, and we've had to adjust their diets, their dietary intake of foods based on their situation, their goals, and what they're trying to accomplish. Some people are trying to lose 50 pounds. Some are trying to lose 5 pounds. Some are trying to lose 100 pounds. Some people are trying to gain muscle. Some people are trying to become more flexible. Some people are trying to, in the conquest of disease, right? All this stuff is going to depend on like your inputs. So the exciting thing is like, who cares what somebody else is doing? Don't get caught up in these things. Who cares what they do? Like, if somebody's going to do that, the problem with why this happens, John, is because, and I went through this myself, and I was the biggest culprit because I'm all in. As people get to know me, they'll find out like I'm just 100% one way until somebody shows me something better, and then I go 100% that way. So being not healthy at all and having to get life flighted for emergency surgery, turning all that around myself with my diet, my lifestyle, I became a very big proponent of, plant-based diet, being vegan, living foods, right? I've got a good case for it. I healed myself, right? But the problem is that when I came back, all my friends were making fun of me and teasing me about the way I was, and they were taking it to other levels and making fun of me about other stuff. Oh, you must be blah 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 too, just like
Sure.
coming out of the closet type stuff. Yeah,
Dogmatic stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And some of them were joking around, but some of them I could tell they were just their belief systems were so on call right there that they were lashing out. Okay, so what did I do? I did the exact same thing that they were doing. I tried to get them to do what I was doing, and I was calling them out after I got strong. So I became known as the food Nazi, all right, for a while. And basically, I'd see a friend or something, or walk into their house or whatever, and then they're at a restaurant, and they'd like hide their food. Oh, geez, Tim. Oh, I know I shouldn't be eating this, and it's like that's not good. So what ends up happening is when it comes to food, which is the number one addiction in our world today, is that we're like lobsters. If you put two lobsters in a bucket, or excuse me, if you put one lobster in a bucket and that lobster crawls out every time. But if you throw two lobsters in a bucket, one starts to crawl out, the other one reaches up, grab it, pulls it back in. Tries to crawl out, reaches up, grabs it, pulls it back in. So I was doing the same thing. So after 5.5 years, I finally realized is like I actually drove friends away from me. I lost some friends. Sound familiar?
Oh
Fighting
yeah.
with
Yeah.
fighting with friends, fighting with people on social media over what you eat. I mean, it's silly. I mean, I remember when I was in baseball, we would go to like a buffet. We were all excited about going to the buffet. And we'd all go in there and we'd pretty much everybody would eat all kinds of different stuff because there was a bazillion different foods. We sat down, we had a good time. We were BSing about baseball and girls and parties and all this other stuff. Nobody cared what anybody was eating. It didn't matter. So why are we doing this? Now, there are some things I would understand why, there's a whole bigger topic here because the people that are going plant-based, some of the people that are vegan are doing it because they just are nice people and they don't want to harm animals. Okay.
Yeah. And
I get that, right?
there,
But
there, there there is there's a bunch of discussions here that we could go into, but for the sake of I think like decision making processes, how do we actually decide what we should eat? And I think one of the biggest sicknesses, Tim, is that through a very sophisticated food industry, we've been programmed to let our taste buds be deceived into making the decision, basically. And if they're stimulated in a very strong way, we're going to mix up the signals. So we need to go a little deeper in how we look at foods, and I would say also uh, ignite those intuitive skills to feel, what do I actually need? When do I need it? How much do I need it? Our body actually gives us those signals. We're just very sort of those are diluted. Is that what the conclusion you've come to as well?
yeah, man, I'm just trying to squeeze everything into this thing because this is like a big topic because it can go down many ways. All right. So what I was saying is that I um don't do what I did. Don't run around saying, "Hey, I went plant-based vegan, I'm healed, and you got to do it too." Just shut up and be healthy. If you went carnivore and it healed you, just shut up and be healthy. Let your results speak for you. When people are ready, they'll come to you. And then when they ask, then tell them. Don't volunteer the information. It's just better because especially because of the polar we don't want to divide each other. We want to come together. We just want everybody to be healthy. Because if everybody's healthy, insurance costs drop. I mean, everything just starts getting better. So here's the deal. There's basic fundamentals to nutrition. One of the most fundamental things is that the most important nutrient that you're ever going to consume is love. You have to start loving yourself enough to be open to looking at what could I do? What are the possibilities for me? Am I open enough to try this and try that and do this and do that? Maybe I should do carnivore for 30 days. Maybe I should be plant-based for 30 days. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do that. And see how you feel and get first-person experience. Now, why are this is what you hear somebody like, I juiced all carrot juice and I healed myself of cancer. Well, was it the carrot juice? No, it was probably because you stopped eating all the toxic, nutrient deficient, poisoned food that you were eating 24/7. You stopped putting in the stuff that was causing the problem, and you allowed your body a chance to clean itself up and for the immune system to take care of itself. So that's why you hear all these different people healing of cancers and all kinds of stuff with different types of modalities and stuff. Is That's why it's not one size. So looking at that, number one, it's what you're putting into yourself and polluting yourself with. Everybody that look at the umbilical cord studies, John. Every single child being born today, they'll look at the blood in the umbilical cord, hundreds and hundreds of toxic chemicals that cause cancer, developmental disorders, birth defects, all kinds of stuff is already in the womb. And the older we are, the more time we've had to bioaccumulate this stuff. So for me, I started a whole company around this chemical free body, just trying to wake people up. So that would be the first step, whether you're carnivore or vegan, is like, you have got to get the toxins out of the cell, out of the fat and the muscle tissue to allow room for proper nutrients to get in. Period. Okay.
So is it safe to say if you start cutting out processed foods, you are halfway there at
Yeah.
least?
Yeah. And people are always asking me, what diet should I eat? And I said fresh and clean and grown in nutrient dense soil, and grow it yourself. That's even better, right? Grow it yourself. So when you have somebody that's deficient because 85% of the nutrients have been farmed out of the soil. Let's look at somebody that eats plant-based. If you're eating plants that were grown in a soil that's 85% deficient, you're going to be 85% deficient. If you're eating animals that are eating food that was grown in soil that's 85% deficient, you're going to be 85% deficient. What did your animal eat that you're eating, right? You have to think about these things. You have to know these things. If you don't know these things, then it's a crapshoot, and statistically, you're going to lose. It's Russian roulette, and there's only one bullet out of the six shooter. That's about the statistics of it. Okay, so the reality is that we have to take responsibility for ourselves, and we have to go to fresh, clean food grown in nutrient dense soils, or eating animals that are eating that stuff. Period. Of end of story. Now, um, when you look at somebody that, I do want to say this, somebody that is eating, because I've seen both sides. I've seen plant-based people that they do plant-based, they do good. Maybe they do good for a while, and some don't do good at all. Just depends. But let's say they're just not what they, and they don't want to eat meat because they don't want to harm animals, but they eat a little bit of meat and they feel better. Okay. That's just the way it works for some people. And I was like, I didn't understand that when I was all wrapped up in the vegan deal for a while, but now I get it. Then on the other side, there's people, because they just might need that. Not just the nutrition, but on an emotional, spiritual level. They haven't, their body's literally not ready to give up that meat portion. They need it like energetically right now. It's the way it is. Okay. And so there's that. Then there's carnivore based people that, a lot of these people, the reason why they do it is they have allergies. They have allergic reactions, their gut, there's a lot of stuff going on. The reason why both of these people, whether they went vegan or they went carnivore, are sick is back to what we were just talking about. It's toxic pollution 24/7, processed foods grown in denatured soils, stress, and I'd have to say toxins would also include EMFs and,
Of
rogue
course.
frequencies and all that stuff. So it's really simple. Stressed out, we're full of toxins, and we're deficient in nutrients. Well, that's a recipe for disaster. So when somebody's all weird, and I've worked with thousands of people that have had allergies, when you go to meat, you kind of eliminate all those allergy deals. And everything kind of settles down and you start feeling human again. So you're like, this works, I'm doing it, blah, blah, blah. But the real problem wasn't that you're an all eat meat eater person. The problem is that you were stressed, you were polluted, and you're deficient in nutrients. So your immune system is broken down and it couldn't handle stuff. And I've watched people that have detoxed, turned their life into a daily detox like I'm doing, because we just live in a polluted world today. And within a year and a half to 2 years, all their allergies are gone. And these could be pet allergies. These could be food allergies. These could be seasonal allergies. I watched a pastor up in Vancouver who I worked with. He healed himself of cancer naturally. And he got up in front of the church and was speaking. And I was at the event. And the guy questioned him. He's like, how'd you do this and all that? And he's telling him. And then finally he goes, you know what's interesting? He goes, for the last 30 years, I've been allergic to 20 different foods. He goes, I can eat all of them now, no problem. Interesting. Once you clean up the digestive tract and you clean up the cells and you get the fat and the muscle tissue cleaned up, you make room and you start flooding the body with proper nutrition, your body's going to heal itself. Give it some time. It's not take a pill and tomorrow you're better. This is a lifestyle, right? If it took you 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years to get where you're at, don't expect that you're going to take a product and tomorrow it's better. It has to be a commitment to your life. It has to be a lifestyle. And by, it's nobody's going to be perfect. Parties, cakes, anniversaries. Okay. But for the daily, you
Yeah.
have to turn this into a lifestyle.
I will say this, having tried for longer periods of time different modalities, like literally vegan, raw, juicing, carnivore, I will say that I have experienced benefits through all of them, and I've experienced problems with some of them that, like you say, I think it's very prudent. One thing that my quality of life has gone up once I eliminated almost all processed foods at almost all times, right? That's the most important thing. The second thing, and I will say this is thanks to you, Tim. We've done juicing and all that stuff for so long, but it wasn't until we started doing your greens every day, twice a day. And that's the first thing I do is I flood my body in the morning with the greens, which is so nutrient dense that, that's before we do the podcast, that's before we do the interviews. So boom, I get that. And food has become a little less important, so we eat less, and we eat maybe once a day, like a good meal, and then a little bit. uh the greens is really what I really would love to talk about. I think they're in the background there. Can you talk a little bit about those greens and what they do regardless of whether you're vegan or carnivore?
Yeah, absolutely. So all life on this planet comes from the sun, period. And if you believe in God, then God put the sun there. And these things called biophotons, these rays of light come down, they're captured on the leaf of a plant via photosynthesis. And with the soil and water, this is where life is created on the planet. Okay. If we're going to actually look at things as, people have usually heard about the animal kingdom. And we think that human beings are above everybody. That's not the way it is. The top dog on this planet is the mineral kingdom. And then below that in hierarchy would be the plant kingdom, and then animals, and then us. That's where we're kind of in there with animals as well. Animals are just specialists. They're really focused. They live in the present. So with that said, what do we need to do? We have got to get minerals into the system, and we also have to get some of these plants. Now, some people, when you eat an animal, you're getting some of the nutrition through there, but there's some that's not. There's quite a bit. That's why for my clients that are like, hardcore carnivores and paleo, and I got a CrossFit community and stuff that I work with. We get them to drink the greens at least. So they're getting phytochemicals. These phytochemicals, there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of these chemicals that have the ability to prevent and reverse disease. So we have people that are completely carnivore, and then they take the greens. Now, if there is a small batch of them that might not be able to, because we have like 22 different nutrients in there from different plants. And if one of those plants would cause an allergic reaction, well, then it's not going to work for them right now. So if somebody has an allergic reaction, I'm like, oh, we got work to do. We need to get more into cleaning. That's when we'd put them on the nano silver. We would put them on gut detox, toxin detox. We'd have them start doing foot spas, infrared saunas, red lights, whatever. We would start doing more things, lots of water and movement, to move that lymphatic system, maybe lymphatic massage. We would do whatever it takes, grounding. We would do everything we can to help them begin to get these toxins out. Because eventually, if they do this long enough, they won't be allergic to whatever that was. That's what I've seen over time. And it's like I said, it might not be now. It might be 6 months. It might be a year and a half later, 2 years. And all of a sudden you'll be able to put that back into your body again and get the benefits from it rather than your body reacting from it. So this is where the greens comes in. We also put people on, if they can't do greens, we put them on super soldier, because
Love
that
super
thing is
soldier.
minerals. It is minerals, and that is the mineral kingdom is the top dog. These are carbon-based minerals that are that bend through the root system of a plant. These are 60,000-year-old minerals, so we believe the biologics are still active in them versus the 200 to 100 million-year-old minerals, like in some things like shilajit, even though we do use that in our digestive ultra enzyme formula. And I'm a big proponent of shilajit. Our super soldier is just basically a very young shilajit. Okay, it's like stem cells of shilajit. I mean,
I love the super soldier, but we're on your regimen, so we do the greens, we do the super soldier, we do the probiotics. We do the gut detox regularly so that everything, so we have this beautiful package. And you called it the inspired bundle, but where can people look up all the, especially really in the context of our conversation, especially the greens? Like, if you're going to look at one product today, go for the greens and look at the rest too. Where can people find that, Tim? Where can they enjoy the discounts, all your information, your podcasts, and everything else in the chemical free body world?
awesome. And I will say this, our greens now, if you guys have not tried it yet, it's now in 100% compostable, sustainable packaging. We are not contributing to the Great Pacific Garbage Patch anymore with our greens, which is our number one seller. So we're excited about that. But you can find
I
us
love
at
that.
chemicalfreebody.com/inspired. Go there and we have a little menu. You can look around and then it'll take you wherever you need to go. And we offer, when you go through those links or use the code inspired, you guys get 5% off. So if you do get the inspired bundle or any of the other bundles, those are already discounted. So if you add the inspired code at the end, you'll get a double discount. We have a double your money back guarantee on all of our products because I know they're going to work for 98% of you up the middle. Also, under the media tab there on our website, you'll see my podcast, Tim James Unleashed. I have been releasing shows for, I don't know, we have 250 episodes. I don't even know how long that is, like 3-4 years. I think the fall of 2019, I just started doing it, and I got all these amazing guests to come on. Same type of work that you're doing, except different. It was started out all health focused. And then it's as I've grown more into spiritual practice, and I'm bringing more people on like that, which is important to me. And it's just a lot of fun. So we pretty much give away all the education we can for free, and then we support people with our products, and they support us by buying them and improving their health.
I love it, Tim. And I would say, it's all really one big subject, well-being. And so everything has to be in there. Our nutrition, our spiritual development, all of it. I would encourage people to go to chemicalfreebody.com/inspired. Check it out. This is what Christine and I do. We're only recommending to you, our wonderful audience, what we're doing and nothing else. Because if we want our family to do it, our kids to do it, our parents to do it, and everyone else, then we recommend it to you as well. So thank you for that, Tim, brother. Thank you for everything you do in helping people get healthy and the best possible version of themselves.
Yeah, and I hope this episode inspires a hardcore carnivore and a hardcore vegan to get married and have a healthy child.
I love it. Inspired Tribe. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're gonna do a dating website now.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for tuning in.
inspireddating.com.
There you go. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll be back with you again very, very soon.